Okay, how's everyone doing tonight? I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. We've got a special guest coming, and I'm trying to get some different. Here we go. Got to get some. Yeah, now I made myself a little bit bigger. And it shocks my guests. Our guest tonight is Dr. Flood, and you will be able to, if you like, call in and ask a question. We're going to talk a little bit about a little bit different things, and. Right now, we've got some events coming up this week, and the Friends of the Library, well, it's not going to be this week, it's in March, I'm sorry. We got all kind of things in March going on. The Friends of the Library and USC Union, we're sponsoring the annual Literary Festival. And you hear these little clocks back here? Yes, drives my wife nuts too, so we thought we'd just drive you nuts with them also. Friends of the Library are planning a costume party also on Main Street Junction, where people can dress as their favorite fictional character. And so that is going to be March 17th, so you'll be exciting to go. And also, the Friends of the Library, they've got some great special guests there also. Saturday, March 11th, 6 p.m., Pro Wrestling hits Union again, the first event in 2023. And the title's like Undisputed, so it's going to have some great people there. And it's going to be at Sims Middle School on 2200 Whitmire Highway in Union. General admission, only $10. That's great. And all school students, $5. So they're looking out for you. A portion of the proceeds goes towards Sims Middle School's initiative programs. The main event is set to declare the undisputed PW heavyweight champion. So they're going to have a lot of guys there. It's Black Cat Johnson. Deion Johnson is going to be wrestling there. He is one of the favorites in Union County because he's from Union County, of course. And I've seen him wrestle. I don't want to mess with him. And they're going to have a tag team champions, the Heat Seekers, Luca Daniels, Boogie Wright, and much, much more. So be sure to get out there on March 11th at 6 p.m. And Miss Union County Fair Teen Madison Gregory presents a dance-a-thon. That might be fun. Dance, food, and fun is $20 per dancer. And this is going to be on Friday, March 24th from 6 to 8:30. Let's see, 6 to 8:30. That's going to be quite a few, 2.5 hours. So that means you're going to have to dance for 2.5 hours. I might have to go to that one right there. Me and Dr. Flood go, and we can break some of these moves back from the old school stuff. But anyway, the location is going to be Unique Steps Dance Studio, and you can contact to purchase your tickets at 864-426-2757, and be sure to be there and get your dancing shoes on. Everybody likes good music and likes to dance. And also, cornhole tournament at Wing Sports Pub. Pros pay $150 per team, so it's a big team. And believe me, these pros, they're awesome. That's on March 11th. And you can sign up to start at, I think it's 1 p.m. And the Wings will add $200 with 20 teams. So they're going to add some money to it. It's going to be a big tournament, and that's the cornhole tournament at Wing Sports Pub in Union. And that's right there on 719 North Duncan Bypass. And just give them a call, and they will also direct you on what to do. Pick your teams. If you think you're really good, go out there and beat the pros. And also, Friends of the Union County Carnegie Library is going to have a costume party. And that's also going to be on Friday, March 17th from 6:30 to 8:30. Tickets are $30 each, $50 for two. That's a $10 savings. It's going to be music, costume contest, and silent auction. Cash wine, beer bar, heavy hors d'oeuvres. So that's at Main Street Junctions, 107 East Main Street in Union, and it's the Friends of the Union County Carnegie Library. 18 and older only, but it's going to be a great time for you to go and put on your best costume. I don't know what mine would be, but I'm not going to, I don't know, I guess I can go as Superman, yes. Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? Superman kind of ate too much. And Wing Sports Club has weekly events also. Don't forget about that. On Tuesdays, the APA Pool League every Tuesday night starts at 7 p.m. And the Cornhole Tournament every Wednesday starts at 7:45. Bags fly at 8 p.m. Thursdays, they have a magician that comes out, makes balloons. That's for kids to come out and enjoy the magician. He makes little dog balloons and things. And I was going to do one tonight, but I'm going to pass on that one. Karaoke and band night is on Fridays. Come out, and if you're a good singer, do some great singing. And Saturday, it's like just come out and hang out, have some fun. They got great food there. They got great wings there. I've experienced the food, and it is great, and you will love it. APA League Day starts on Sundays also around 1 p.m. at 719 North Duncan Bypass. And they have a lot of great things there, so go by, and it's family friendly too. They have all kinds of things for children there. It's smoke-free. You go in, there's no smoked up there. That's a great thing too. And besides that, they have great food. So be sure to go by there, and be sure that you say we sent you there, okay? All right, we're going to be back and be talking with Dr. Flood here in just one moment. We want to play this commercial for my friends at La
Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagada, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagada. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
All right, we're back, and be sure to go down in La Pagada and ask for Dorelli. Yes, ask for Dorelli. Let's swamp her. So let me turn my volume down a little bit. I mean, headphones too. Ring my ears. I have to bump that up a little bit. Well, let me introduce our guest. This is Dr. Flood, and I appreciate you coming on. And we're going to talk a little bit about you, even. And I've got to ask, how did you, when you growing up and going through school, what made you think that you wanted to be a doctor?
Well, my father was a pharmacist to begin with. He passed away when I was 13 of a heart attack. And then I got to high school and I played football up till then, but I blew out my knee, so football was out. So I spun in and started doing athletic training and liked it, and the rest is history from there.
Oh, okay. So your father was an inspiration to you, and where did he have his pharmacy at?
Ashburn, North Carolina. That in my family doctor from back then. A little bit of a character, but a great human being and physician.
Now, was his father into medicine or your grandpa?
I really don't know. I never met my paternal grandfather.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, because sometimes it just kind of comes on down the line a little bit there. And so now, a lot of people don't know that you actually started out as a firefighter in Charlotte, correct?
Basically, it's a circuitous thing. I actually went to school at UNC Charlotte during my freshman year, had a head-on motorcycle accident, couldn't walk. So it kind of redirected me, and I got a business accounting degree, went out and became an accountant, but did not like what I did. So the whole time I was taking classes to eventually get back to medicine. But yes, I did do some fire and EMS work in the Charlotte area.
So you was an accountant. I didn't know that, and just can't picture you sitting because you're so active and doing a lot of different things, which we'll be talking about. Sitting there behind the desk, crunching numbers, and how long did you do that for?
That's actually a misperception. Clerks do the crunching of the numbers. The accountant actually reviews stuff and makes sure that policy is being followed and that sort of thing. I did that for probably 4 years before I said enough and went back to school full time.
Okay. Now, when you decide to get out of the accounting fields like that, what inspired you to be a firefighter?
That was something that occurred actually during my undergraduate years. I'd always wanted to do service to the community, and there was a fire department about 2 miles off the front of campus, and I joined them, and they also ran a rescue EMS ambulance as well. So it gave me both worlds, so to speak.
So that now, to me, I'd want to drive the vehicles because I want to drive fast, but you really got to have some skills in doing that. Did they train you in how to go through traffic, how to drive the vehicle back then, or is this something new that they do now?
There was no formal driver's training back then. You kind of learned it on the fly, and of course your officers would ride with you the first couple of times, but no, it was on the fly more than
just kind of you're on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not like that today. I know that y'all have a very extensive training, and that's one thing that you has been involved with. Now, when you was a firefighter in that, what was the name of the
Newell Volunteer Fire Department?
Okay. Now, did they have a EMT there or rescue there in that facility, or did you move to?
No, it's in the same building. They ran fire and EMS. They ran fire for their own district, EMS for 4 districts.
Okay. And so after being on the fire department, that's something you wanted to go in as an EMT. Now, a lot of people don't know I didn't know, and I asked you this earlier like that, what's the difference between the EMT and a paramedic?
The big difference is EMTs can do a lot. They can splint, that sort of thing, but they can't do any drugs, IVs, or cardiac monitors. So that's where the paramedic level comes in, and currently paramedics in some jurisdictions administer antibiotics and blood transfusions. Depends on how comfortable their medical control is.
So you went from firefighter, EMT, and then paramedic, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's different school for each one. Approximately how long does it take for EMT and paramedics? Is it?
That changed over the years. When I went through it, we were still getting the commandments, so to speak. It's been a while. EMT was probably about 6 months worth of work, and I know paramedic is 14 months full-time right now after your EMT.
Let me put some numbers up there. If you have a question you want to ask Dr. Flood, please give a call on the number on the bottom of your screen. Now that you got your feet wet as an EMT and paramedic like that, was you working full time and decided to go to try to go and get your education to become a doctor?
How it all came down is I got frustrated as an accountant. I quit my job and went to school full time, and then I worked part-time for Mecklenburg County EMS. Medic is what it's called. And marched through the additional training. By then I already had my EMT, and had it for quite a while.
Okay. So you just decided that you wanted to go a step further.
I did when I worked for Medic. I didn't know if I'd ever get accepted into medical school, and so I stepped up into the paramedic role. And then literally as soon as I finished that, all that training and stuff, was immediately accepted into medical school.
Oh, okay. And where was that? Where did you get your medical?
South Carolina, University of South
University of South Carolina. Okay. Well, we got a bunch of pluses there. Well, I'll see that, Kathy Hill there says, you know what? I don't see the number. There it is now. It says, the best doctor in Union County. Well, I'll tell you what, you're the most busiest doctor. Well, I know other doctors are, but you have a variety of things that you do in this community. And a lot of people don't know that. They think, well, you as a doctor, you see your patients and stuff like that. And by the way, let everybody know where you practice at.
Well, I opened my office back in Union at 801 West Main Street, my original site. There on the corner of West Main and South Street. And I'll plug the office at phone number is 441-0009. If you call the old number, you're going to be calling the hospital and not our office. So always make sure it's 441-0009.
And this is your general practice. And when your patients come in there, a lot of times, especially during this COVID season, during the flu season, and things like that. I know there's a lot of things that you can prevent there, but we'll get more into that in a few moments. So when you, and I know when I first graduated and walked across that stage, it was great. I hope you don't mind me asking, how was you when you got your doctorate degree and walked across that stage? Or got your degree, you might not have walked across the stage.
I think I was 30 or 31.
And my granddaughter, Madeline Gilstrap, is going to PC, and she's going to go into the medical field. And you know, and I was thinking, I said, you know what? I says, when you get to this certain age and you get through all your training, all your education and stuff, I says, that's going to be a good age for you, and that's why the reason I've asked, because that's a good age, and that's gives you time to get all your education done. And now, when you finished your doctorate degree, what was your first assignment?
Well, I had to do residency at Greenville. I did internship and residency in Greenville. Then I took a fellowship in Tennessee in operative obstetrics, and was there about 6 months before they promoted me out and put me on faculty instead, because while I was there I wrote a textbook on women's health and things of that nature.
Okay, so let's talk about the textbook. I'm glad you brought that up. Is it published where people could get it, and it'd rather be on Amazon or IBS?
Not anymore. It was actually internal to the UT system. It was basically a guidebook for family medicine residents, women's health component. And when I left, they kept it going for about 5 years, and then my ultimate boss at University of Tennessee left. And when he left, so did the book.
Oh. Well, you know, but in writing books and guidelines, I know I've done some training manuals, stuff like that. To do it correctly, it takes a lot of time, and you got to, especially in a medical book, you really got to watch for details, don't you?
You do, and you better have some folks reviewing it to make sure that what you're writing is actually what you mean to say.
Well, now, you got your education. What brought you to Union? That's, you know, because I know you're from North Carolina, and it's not that far away. I'm from North Carolina, and it's still not that far away. What brought you to this little town of Union?
It's interesting. One of my closest friends when I was in residency was Eric McGill. His mom and dad, of course, his father was a pharmacist here. His mother was a teacher and taught sex ed at the high school for years. He and I became best friends, and we'd come down here and go deer hunting when we had time off. And I got to meet a lot of folks when I did that. And, of course, the Diamondurases were they're across the street neighbors, so I got to meet them. And when I decided to move back to South Carolina to, quite frankly, be closer to my children, I started looking around, and I looked at Lawrence. I looked at even going back to Greenville, looked at going to Spartanburg, and this was the best fit.
And we're going to ask you too, where'd you meet your wife?
My current wife, in the operating room of Wallace Thompson Hospital. She was a surgical technologist.
Oh, well, I was glad it wasn't a patient laying there and says, "Hey, you look pretty good there."
No, she was a surgical tech. She helped me in surgery.
Oh, well, great. Well, that's so it's been a lot of. I met my wife just by other people and things, and so I moved south, and I know her family is here, and Charlotte's not that far away either.
Well, I actually grew up in Ashboro in the center of the state, an
okay.
hour east of Charlotte, and it's a town not unlike Union, about the same size.
Right. Well, Union's to me is very unique, and to me, and I grown to really love Union. And that's why I try to do a lot of things for Union, because if you love your town and you love it here, you want to get involved. You want to, and we're going to talk about your county council here in a second too. You want to get involved with many things and try to make your town grow. And
it's more than growth. You have to improve your town, even if it stays the same size. It's kind of like a church. I'll use that as an example. If nobody participates in all the committees, then eventually the church disappears.
Right.
And so it's just like Union County. You have multiple city governments here, and then you have the county government. We don't invest our time on county council committees, the fire departments, those sort of things, then it will not do well. If we get involved and make suggestions and progress the system on.
And now, getting back to now, you are, and I said, hold on a second here.
Call from Secretary.
Hello.
Press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Okay, hold on a second here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, who are we speaking to?
Hello. Sister Cassidy, and I have a question.
Okay, can you
For
hear
Dr.
Dr.
Flood.
Flood? Go ahead.
One of my close friends' daughters just had flu A, B, and COVID. Like, how common is that? Because I'm afraid of it.
First of all, quit being afraid of it. B, it's not very common at all. We've had one case in the office where somebody had positive everything. It just shows exposure. The reality is that the mortality, the risk of death with all three of them is minimal at best. Now, 2 years ago, the COVID was a bad actor. It was killing folks right and left. But the more recent variants are nothing more than a sinus infection or a stomach bug. And flu is just flu.
But, like, with this new strain of COVID, I just lost my dad from this new strain of COVID that they say. I'm petrified. Like, should I just wear my mask around everyone?
As you've seen, I wear my mask around almost no one. I look at it this way, and I have some health risks myself, Usually it's the folks with multiple risk factors, particularly cigarette smoking, blood pressure, diabetes, and COPD.
He didn't smoke cigarettes. He didn't drink. He was none of that. Well, he probably had hypertension.
Was he overweight or?
Well, yeah. Most black folks is, but I'm just saying.
Well, I'm a little bit that way myself, and sorry for your loss like that. And Dr. Flood, there's some really common sense things that we can do to keep germs down. As far as washing your hands, it's just as common things. And what's some of the things that you see that she can do to kind of help ease her anxiety on this?
Well, in her particular case, she probably needs to wear a mask in public. That's for your own safety or your own mindset more than anything. I think the risk of you getting COVID and dying is very minimal at best. And then the simple things like when someone comes to the office and we do diagnose them with COVID, we tell them to take vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. All three of those are combined to make a pretty good antiviral.
Now, can you take those three things there just as a precaution?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And we love Dr. Flood. Dr. Flood delivered my first two kids. I've been loving him forever.
Well, that's great. I'm hearing a lot of that about Dr. Flood, and he kind of reminds me of years ago with some of the others like Dr. Fielder and some of them like that. That they were just humble people that would speak to you on the street and or come to your house if you need them or doing this. I mean, to me, it kind of brings you back to the Andy Griffith days,
Right.
So, well, I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm glad y'all accepted my call.
Well, thank you for calling. You have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think way too many people have, and I'll just make a political comment. I think some of our politicians drove COVID in so hard in that the Delta variant was actually the bad actor. Are we still going to have folks die of COVID? The answer is yes, but we still have people. People don't realize people die every year of the flu. Right,
and actually the flu has been an epidemic here lately. It has its months that it comes in like a roaring lion, doesn't it?
Yeah, generally your season's November through March, April. This year it came on early, was horrendous, but it's starting to ease up.
Now, what do you recommend? So let's go with the flu part of it to help people to prepare themselves for the flu season. What are some of the things that they can take? I know there's different vitamins, and you hear stuff all the way across the internet. You hear stuff over the counter and advertisements, and it really gets confusing. What are some of the things you suggest as far as getting prepared for flu season?
Basically, the basic things is vitamin C. I do like adding D and zinc, but vitamin C is absolutely, important.
So now, when you're taking vitamin C, now some people say, well, I'll drink orange juice, but that's really not enough, is it?
No. Basically, you should take 500 milligrams twice a day for an adult.
And I'm bringing up vitamin D too because a lot of people say that, well, I drink a lot of milk and things like that, but I know my doctor tells me, says, no, that's not good enough. You need to have the vitamin D tablet.
We actually did a vitamin D level on someone who works outdoors all the time, and you'd think they were safe too, but that was the lowest vitamin D level I'd seen since I started checking them.
Wow.
And so that person is now on a supplement.
Yep. Because you work outside and you say, well, I'm healthy and I run and stuff like that, do you suggest someone to have a family doctor and to get a regular checkup?
Without a doubt. because we screen you for things. I know if you see myself or Hope in the office, either one of us, we're going to screen you that first visit for cholesterol, for diabetes, for vitamin D and B12 deficiencies. And we're going to do a metabolic panel on you to make sure you're not anemic or your liver and kidneys are functioning properly.
And some people, it gets the ages mixed up. They say, well, that's just for the old folks. This gets up to 60. What is a good age that you would think should be having these habits of coming and setting up a regiment of coming to visits?
I think as soon as you enter adulthood, because basically blood pressure is so underdiagnosed, and it is a silent killer, other than an occasional headache, until you have your heart attack or your kidneys fail or you have a stroke, you may not realize you have high blood pressure until you go to the doctor and they check it formally with a machine that's calibrated.
What are some signs of high blood pressure?
The most I've ever seen somebody talk about is headaches, but it doesn't have any real signs. That's why it's the silent killer.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought maybe it was something that turn real blood red or something like that, or something that you can look at somebody. Hey, you look like your blood pressure's up.
Well, sometimes you can do that if they're flushed, but it also mean they drink too much.
Yeah.
So that's not a good indicator.
Well, the only good indicator is, and I know we have a blood pressure machine here, and I notice that mine's different than when I go to the doctor, because most of the time we want to do things quickly. We'll throw it on there and use battery-operated ones that the battery could be getting weak because we don't want to change them, cost too much.
Well, one of the things I recommend to patients is if they have one, bring it to the office. Let's compare it.
That's a good idea.
Let's compare it and see where yours is coming in compared to ours. The equipment in our office, well, if they're using a manual cuff, it's calibrated by God because it uses mercury.
Right.
The other one's calibrated periodically to make sure it's still accurate.
Right. Now, when you, it's kind of funny you said it's calibrated by God, but tell people why you said that, because I know what you mean by it, because I used to fly planes.
Basically, at our level of altitude, there's a certain amount of pressure exerted by the atmosphere, and that is how it's calibrated.
Okay. Well, that's some good information, because we don't know until we come to the doctor for you to do those tests. To continue on and not do it. It to me is, especially when you start getting a little bit of age, because age creeps on you pretty quickly, and if you're getting close to 45 and 50 and you haven't had checks up like these things here, you're playing Russian roulette.
In the worst way. In fact, I'd even, women should be having mammograms. Men should have a prostate PSA done on them. I think everyone should have a colonoscopy at age 50. I just had my second one about 2 months ago. Not a pleasant exam, but I know I ain't got colon cancer.
Right, and that would be more unpleasant. And I've got mine supposed to be coming up this year also. And just these little things here makes your life to live longer. And what about some of the like a lot of people says, well, I'm going to go on a diet, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cut back, and I'll control it myself by what I eat. And give me your insights on that, because I know that myself, I do it too. Says, well, I'm just going to quit this right here, and that'll make that go down, and especially my iron.
You're living in a fantasy land. Basically, the only thing that consistently has been shown to be of benefit is 30 minutes of daily aerobic exercise. That's not lifting weights in the gym. That is walking, running, swimming, something that runs your heart rate up. It'll cause your cholesterol go down, cause your blood pressure go down, cause your anxiety and depression to fix themselves. As far as absolute dieting, unless you're eating grease out of the pit. I think it's artificial. You're not going to eat like that normally. It's like I don't require people to fast before I check a cholesterol because it's, again, artificial. Let me see what your numbers really are.
So, actually, that makes sense. And even what about with checking your diabetes? If you want to get a true reading, to me, you're getting I say a false reading, because if you're fasting for that blood test to check your sugar with, and I know I've checked mine in the mornings and don't eat through the night, and mine's real low. I say, all right, but my little things I do through the day that spikes it up there, that's what makes your numbers crazy.
We actually do a specialized blood test called the hemoglobin A1C that tells me what your sugar is for the last 45 days.
Oh, wow. So cheating is not going to help. Like if I quit that week from eating sweets.
I will bite you with that A1C every time.
So that tells you almost like a lie detector.
Well,
accurate.
I don't want to put somebody on the spot. You know, if they're already a known diabetic, I like them bringing in lists of what their daily checks are. But the A1C is what it's all about, because, you know, face it, folks will bend the truth over backwards to where it's almost a lie sometimes. And I don't need to be treating a lie. I need to be treating the truth.
And you know, I'm bad for that. I got to confess that I am bad for that. Think of, well, how's everything going? I can sit there and be out of breath walking in there. It's good. It's good. And because, you know, especially men, we don't want to feel weak if we go in and say, well, we hurt here, we sick here. We want to be this macho thing, and it doesn't work.
You know, if a man comes in the office and tells me something's wrong, it's time for me to dig very, very deep. Usually there's an occasional histrionic guy that will come in the office, but most times if the guy says something's wrong, I'll never forget a young male that I had who came to the office, and he came to the office 3 times in 1 week. And I finally said, I'm probably going to need to do some blood work. He said, here's the blood. Well, it turned out he had leukemia.
Ooh.
The kid knew, and I just had to dig deeper to find it.
Okay. Well, we're going to be back right after this 1 minute here. We're going to do a commercial here for La Pagada, your great Mexican restaurant and Union, and we'll be right back.
La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagada, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagada. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
I think you need bifocals.
All right, we're back live again, and we're here with Dr. Flood. And the number's down below if you want to call and have a question to ask him. And someone did ask a question about, was it vitamin D? And
Yeah, the daily dosage for an adult for vitamin C is 500 milligrams twice a day. Vitamin D is 2,000 units per day. And zinc is 1 tablet a day, which is usually 220 milligrams.
I hope that answered your question. You know, and again, does it depend on the person's body, the body weight, body mass? You hear a lot about that. It says, well, I'm small, I don't need to take this and this right here.
That's why I qualified it by saying an adult. adults, basically those are the numbers. Doesn't matter your size, how fluffy or how skinny you are, either one. You'll know you're taking too much vitamin C because if you overdose on vitamin C, it gives you diarrhea.
So if you overdose that, you're going to know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, can different vitamins, without a doctor's guidance, can be harmful to you?
You can take too much of, particularly A is one of them. You can take too much of it. I'm sure. Well, you can take too much vitamin C; it gives you diarrhea.
Right.
But every medicine known to man or every compound known to man, if you take too much, will kill you. Even alcohol.
Well, it's too much of that. Yeah, definitely will. And like I said, if you got a question, you can call 864-441-9382. And when you're in the emergency room, and I know I used the word last time, you kind of a emergency room specialist because that was what I read, and you see a lot of people coming in the emergency room, and you see a lot of them that kind of fakes it a little bit to try to get the pain drugs and stuff like that. Do you train or train staff like that, what to kind of look for in that versus someone that actually needs it?
The reality is this. At this point, the state board has mandated that we check something called PMP, which is Prescription Monitoring Program. If you get a narcotic in this state, in fact, you get a narcotic in any state, it's reported to a data bank, and I can go in and retrieve that data.
Okay, so that just kind of gives you a heads up.
I'll tell you right quick, or if you come in there and something don't sit with me right, I'll drug screen you in a skinny minute.
Right. Well, or if they come in every week with the same ache. And I heard this, someone I read it, where the main calls that people do is that say, well, my back hurts real bad or something like that, because it's something that you can't tell if it's hurting them or not because of nerves and different things like that.
There's certain keys, though. If you come in with an absolute normal blood pressure, absolute normal pulse rate, and you tell me you have 10 over 10 pain, I'm going to look at you and tell you you need to go to the bathroom because you're full.
Wrong kind of pain, huh? Well, that's good to know, because it's because we've got an epidemic of drugs now, and that's why a lot of them's gone to the black market to get them, because you do have this in place to kind of monitor it a little bit. Because in talking about pain and monitoring there, do you monitor like someone that's really in pain? I'm not talking about someone that's not. And do you kind of monitor the doses on where, because a lot of pain medicine is addictive, and I don't know what some of them are,
The reality is the most I'm going to write you is 3 to 5 days. If I don't have you better in 3 to 5 days, you're going to see either a chronic pain specialist or an orthopedist if it's a knee or an ankle. You're not going to sit in my office and get repeated prescriptions. I'm not going to do it.
Well, that's great, because it's in this county, you know yourself by being a paramedic, that you've seen so many overdoses.
It's gotten bad, and there's so much heroin and fentanyl coming in that's not being obtained legally. It's being imported from overseas. We have no control over that, and folks think they can switch from taking their Norcos to fentanyl. Well, it'll kill them every time because it's magnitudes more potent.
So, and that's what people are turning to when they can't come to you. And like you said, if I ain't got you fixed here, we're gonna get you fixed, but we're gonna go other different avenues, and then they just turn to these things and getting off the black market, which is very, very dangerous. Now, a lot of people say that I don't know if you probably carry Narcan. What is Narcan? Where people want to know what that is.
It's actually a drug that reverses the effects of narcotics. Narcotics are going to suppress your respiration and sedate you quite a bit, and it basically blocks the receptor on the brain cells to where it can't do that. I think they're about to make Narcan over the counter in South Carolina if they haven't already done so. I know I got a news bulletin on it last month, but there is an effort to make it to where everybody can just walk into the drugstore. Because I know some families who have drug addicts in their family, and they've gotten one to keep around the house to try to start the resuscitation before EMS gets there, or law enforcement in this county carries it as well.
Now, how Narcan? I think they've got it over the counter now. How do you administer Narcan? I know there used to be a shot thing, and now I think it's spray.
It's a nasal spray.
Now, does the nasal spray, does it have you squeeze it like normal, or is it?
If you've seen an afferent spray, they used to do a commercial where they'd squeeze it and then the mist would come out. That's the same way it works.
Oh, okay. So if they're not breathing stuff like that, it still shoots up in there.
Shoots up in, and as soon as it hits the mucous membranes, it's going to get absorbed.
Okay. Does it react immediately? Does it? Because we all watch videos and things like that, and sometimes we mix up TV with reality, and you actually see the reality of it.
First of all, it depends on how much they've taken to begin with. And then secondarily, if it's a low dose, you'll see a response within 1 to 5 minutes for sure. If it's a mega dose, and recently I had one over in Pickens where I ended up having to start a Narcan drip, which I had never done in my career, because I kept administering, and they'd come to, and then within 5-10 minutes they were going back out. They had a mega amount of narcotics in their system.
And and for people that doesn't know how drugs or anything like that, and the fentanyl and the drugs are taken now, a lot of people are not educated on really what it looks like. Somebody said, well, I'm just taking an aspirin, I'm taking a pill, and this right here. And for families that have someone that maybe they suspect taking some of these drugs, what is some of the signs that they can actually see?
Abnormal behavior. Usually drug addicts will get withdrawn, they'll be depressed. Not all of them now, but the vast majority, they'll quit doing the things they used to enjoy. If they were an avid golfer and they stopped golfing, you better raise some suspicions. And then anything that, they start slurring their words, walking into walls, that sort of thing, it's a pretty good indication.
Right. And I don't know if you probably agree with this too, but we've always heard, and I just heard it recently, is that someone gets into the pain pills, and their next thing, if they keep taking, the next thing is getting up higher because you got such a low dose here, and they curve and want something more, and they can't get it more, but they go to these.
Over time, the particularly the pain relieving nature of narcotics goes down with time. So you need higher and higher doses to achieve what you had before, assuming they're even taking it for pain control.
Right. And what do you suggest when someone, say, has got some sore muscles or having some stiffness here? I know you mentioned about the exercise, and what is the best? I know you got cardiac, for your heart and things like that, but for your sore muscles, or you just kind of sitting around. I know old people, including myself, if we sit around and do nothing, and our muscles don't have that movement like we used to, and I always heard, muscles, if you're in motion, you're going to keep in motion, even though it's going to get sore a little bit. But your suggestion for people, say from 60, which I'm older, and above, what kind of regimen of exercise would you suggest for them to do?
Simple 30 minutes walking every day works. And I know my wife has a personal trainer, Renard Woods, and he has quite a bit of older folks. He does personal training that is tailored to them. And some of it's some weightlifting, but most of it's aerobic type of exercise.
Okay, so and really, people when you go to one of these, and usually in January's the gym memberships just blow up. Everybody's got a resolution. I'm going to get out there and do that. I was one of them. I think I went 3 times, and that was about it. I said it's too hard for me.
Well, most of walking in the park is free.
Right. And you said like 30, 35 minutes of walking.
30 minutes a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. That helps your breathing?
Helps breathing. Again, your body produces a hormone called endorphin that gets your blood pressure down, makes you calmer, helps depression. That's actually my number one drug for depression, is get out and walk every day. Now, it takes a week or so for the endorphin to build up, but my wife will tell you real quick, if she has to not exercise 2 days in a row, she feels like she has the flu.
Wow. We'll talk about depression here in just a second, but Caitlin Griffith wants to know this. What's the craziest ER experience you have had?
You really don't want to know that one. You really don't want to know that one. I've had too many just absolute crazy.
Caller, I missed you, caller. You can call back if you would. Just got hung up there, but yeah, I can imagine. My brother's told me a couple, and one that he actually told me was this guy who came in and he was laying on the floor like he was, having the jerks and all this right here, and like I said, my brother has a bedside manner, could be pretty tough, and they come and got him, and he went over there and he kind of took his foot and moved him, says, "Get up." He lay there. He said, "I said, get up. If you want to see the doctor, you better get on up." And then people around going, "Oh, what are you doing? He's hurting. He says, "No, he ain't. You get up." He gets up, goes over and sit down. he said he comes in every week doing it.
You get some folks that you get used to with certain things. It's amazing what some folks will use for sex. I'll say that much. That's some of the bizarreness.
Yeah, I just heard something about the other day that they nicknamed the guy Sweet Potato, but it's crazy. So you do see some crazy things in there, but he don't want to tell that because one thing about it, it may be a HIPAA rule there somewhere or another too, and somebody might know that, hey, that was me. Of course, some of these things they're not going to say that's them either. Depression. We've all been around people, and I've just had a couple friends recently about depression. What are some of the things that you can tell someone to help them, but without medication, or maybe a little to get them out of this depression?
Well, a lot of it has to do with what was the inciting factor. For better or for worse, in the last year, I've lost a couple of good friends who were real young, in their 30s, and that is traumatic for everyone, including me. But sometimes if you don't want to tell some folks, you want to listen. Listening ear is much better than a talking mouth most of the time. And most of these folks just want to talk about their feelings. There's some folks that are never going to tell anybody anything. But the exercise is the number one thing for me to kind of start breaking the mold, so to speak.
So someone that, and I've had a couple friends in the same boat that you look and say, wow, we didn't even know this was coming because didn't know this depressed. I mean, we've seen stars like it. I think Robin Williams is one of them that brings to mind. And you're right about just listening. And a lot of times you're being in the field that you're in, that you see all this thing, and listening, you build kind of build a case what is making him depressed. And now, well, I'm well known for around Christmas time I get depressed because it's not a monetary thing. It's because of me being in the religious field and looking at this. I said this is not right, and I pull away. I have to make myself to be involved, and the church and all of them knows that too. But it's just that little point of time, and I'm like I'm thinking to my own self, why is I'm doing that? What was making this do this right here? And I hadn't figured it out yet, but one day I do.
One of the things I'll say to everyone is don't go in and tell a healthcare worker that you're going to kill yourself, because I promise you, quicker than you get that out of your mouth, I'll have my name at the bottom of your commitment papers. This dates all the way back from when I was 18 years old, and a good friend of mine's brother blew his brains out with a shotgun. And everybody the next day is, why did he do it? Why didn't he just come to me? Well, guys, they're not. You got to look. You have to look at change in pattern of behavior. And particularly for young teenagers, they ever say even thinking about suicide, you're going somewhere. Because that's not a normal, all of us somewhere in life have found things not going our way. But when a teenager in particular tells you that, sometimes they do actions before they think of consequences.
Right, and it could be something as much as someone, and we hear about it all the time, where I know one was a young girl killed herself because of bullying, and they and the group kind of made her feel awful, and one, they attacked her and put it out there on social media, embarrassed so much that she took her life, and those types like that, you never can get it just like that. But when somebody, usually, like you said, a teenager especially, tells you that, they're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of teenagers, many times it's boyfriend-girlfriend problems. Now, I'll tell you real quick, I love my wife to death, but I ain't killing myself no matter what happens.
Me neither. Now, she might kind of kill me for some of the things I do to her, but other than that, no.
I can see that.
Yes. I played a lot of jokes on her. But and depression is and I've heard say this before, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is a disease. Is that correct, or is it just a behavior that you can adjust?
It depends on what philosophy you come from. I don't consider it necessarily a disease, but I think it's something we can treat and get you to a point where you're no longer depressed. I will tell you real quickly that the AMA considers it a disease. I consider cancer a disease. Depression is a psychological, I guess you could call it a disease.
Psychological one.
Yeah.
Well, I know I had a friend of mine that came to me, hadn't been too long ago, he says, I'm talking about suicide. He said, but I don't really have the guts to do it myself, but I want to kind of provoke someone to do it for me. It's almost like suicide by
cop.
Well, yes. And I talked to him a little bit, and I says, why are you thinking this? And he said, I don't know right here. I says, let me tell you what you need to do, because what he is doing, he's working anywhere from 15, 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop doing this right here, not sleeping and things like that. I says, take a couple of days off, sleep, get you some rest. And when I seen him about a week later, he said, you know what, I did that. He said, I slept 24 hours straight. And he says, I clear. It's just my head's clear now.
Sometimes you just got to step back. And, one of the things that when I have folks in the office and they talk about being depressed and that sort of thing, one of my first questions is, when was the last time you were in church?
Yeah.
And I love when the response is, well, there's nothing but hypocrites in church. I said, then you're going to church for the wrong reason. You're going for you and your relationship with God, not for the other people sitting around you.
That's true. They're not, and you know what? Tell, you're coming in to a bunch of hypocrites there, yes, but just think of all of them out there. So just ain't got here yet. And and I'm a pastor of a church, and we welcome all to come in and not be judgmental. It's one thing that I do preach and we do talk about in our church is that all is welcome. I don't care who they are. This is a house of worship for someone to come in to worship God, not me, not following me, not following this person. It's God's house to worship.
Exactly.
No.
Well, Dr. Flood, I'm going to go to another commercial here right quick, and then we'll end right here. And I know you're a busy man, and so we'll be right back after these messages.
La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagada, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagada. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043.
All right, we're back with you, and we got Dr. Flood here, and we're getting ready to close out. But one thing I did forget about, we got to talk about everything else, is that Dr. Flood is a county councilman also. So he's involved with everything in the county. He's the chief of Monarch Fire Department, chief of the Union County Rescue Squad.
I was. I gave it up 15 years ago as far as chief. I was a member up till I got elected to county council, and then there's a conflict.
But now he's a county councilman, so you can see him once a month, second Tuesday in every month. You'll see him right on the council, see how he votes and things like that. And Dr. Flood, tell again how people can come to your office that does not have a position, and if they want to come in and fill out the paperwork and see you, let people know where you're located at and your phone number.
We're at 801 West Main Street, the corner of Main Street and South Street, right near the hospital. And the telephone number is 441-0009. Again, 441-0009.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Flood, for being with us today. And next week, we won't have a show next week because I'll be up in Chesapeake, Virginia, and won't have all my stuff with me, and so I won't be there. But after that, we're going to have some investigators coming, that cold case investigators, and also they look for missing persons. And you tune in for that also. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and we are Primetime, and we are going